During World War II, backyard vegetable patches transformed into mini farms, providing essential nutrition for American families. Known as Victory Gardens, these gardens were planted at homes and public parks across the U.S., encouraging citizens to grow their own produce to supplement their rations and support the war effort. Not only did these gardens provide food, but they also boosted morale by giving people a sense of contribution and empowerment. Approximately 1/3 of the vegetables produced in the U.S. during the war came from these Victory Gardens. Another popular food item during WWII was Spam, a canned meat product made by Hormel Foods Corporation. Introduced in 1937, Spam was mainly made from pork shoulder and ham, as fresh meat was scarce for soldiers. Spam became a good alternative due to its easy shipping and long shelf life. Affordability and versatility made it a favorite among soldiers and civilians alike to American soldiers. Spam was affectionately referred to as Special Army meat. Powdered eggs also played a significant role in the American diet. During this era, both at home and for soldiers abroad, these fully dehydrated eggs were lighter and easier to transport than fresh eggs, and they had a long shelf life without the need for refrigeration. Powdered eggs were used in various recipes, including baking, scrambled eggs, and omelets. The process of making powdered eggs became widespread during the war as a durable, easy-to-transport food source. When fresh apples were scarce and expensive, Americans found innovative ways to enjoy apple-like desserts. One such creation was the mock apple pie, which contained no actual apples. Instead, common crackers were soaked in a mixture of sugar, water, and spices to mimic the texture and flavor of apples when baked in a pie crust. This clever dessert allowed families to enjoy a sweet treat without using rationed or unavailable ingredients. Creamed chipped beef on toast, often jokingly referred to as esdado, Shasterisk tea on a shingle, was a popular dish among American soldiers. Were mixed in a creamy white sauce and served over toast. This dish was easy and quick to prepare, nutritious and inexpensive, making it a staple in the military and popular in American diners. During the Great Depression, a unique cake named Depression Cake gained popularity in America. This cake, also known as war cake during World War I and II, was made without milk, sugar, butter, or eggs, as these ingredients were expensive or hard to obtain. Instead, ingredients like flour, raisins or prunes, spices, and sometimes nuts were used. This cake's recipe dates back to at least the American Civil War, showcasing its history of providing a budget-friendly dessert during challenging times. Coffee rationing was implemented when German submarines attacked ships transporting coffee from Latin America, causing a shortage in the United States. In November 1942, the government started rationing coffee, allowing individuals to purchase only a limited amount at a time. Each person over 15 years old could obtain 1 pound of coffee every 5 to 6 weeks. This scarcity led Americans to reuse old coffee grounds to make a beverage known as Roosevelt coffee. Vegetables were abundant in America during World War II. Fresh fruits and vegetables could not be shipped overseas without spoiling, so Americans were told to stock up on them. Onions were easy to grow and extremely hardy, and in the 1940s, cooks began stuffing them with a variety of ingredients. Grape nuts, which contain neither grapes nor nuts, but are made from wheat and barley, were a staple food for Americans at the time. although some considered the flakes to be bland. They gave the stuffed onions a consistency similar to onions stuffed with ground beef. With the right amount of spices, this dish can still be a delicious snack today. Braised beef tongue. A cow's tongue is huge, rubbery and tough, not at all what you imagine a family sitting around the table to enjoy. But during World War II, American families could only buy meat products like tongue and drumsticks, which added interesting twists to classic dishes. The beef tongue wasn't just served as a big tongue on a plate. Instead, it was presented as something closer to a casserole. Braised beef tongue will be quite recognizable. One modern recipe calls for carrots, onions, celery, and tomato sauce, as well as tongue. In order for the tongue to acquire an edible consistency, it must be boiled for 2 hours, then baked for 2 more in a casserole surrounded by vegetables. Soup on a spit. Skewer soup may not have the most appetizing name in the history of culinary innovation, but the dish itself is truly delicious. The soup was created in occupied Poland as a way to use up surplus barley. Poles no longer had access to many of the products. That made their cuisine so rich, proteins such as oysters and anchovies disappeared from the table, as did simple foods such as chestnuts. To survive during World War II, Poles made soup from barley, a durum grain. While eating the soup, you had to spit out the husks. Hence its not very appetizing name. Vegetarian chopped liver, a twist on a traditional Jewish dish. Vegetarian chopped liver is a delightful adaptation of the classic Jewish recipe that traditionally calls for schmaltz chicken fat and gribenes, cracklings to enhance the rich flavor. This alternative version emerged during World War II, when Jewish families were encouraged to increase their dietary intake, prompting the exploration of creative substitutes. To create the vegetarian version, home cooks turned to fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as the produce from their victory gardens. Instead of using meat, green beans, peas, onions, hard-boiled eggs if available, and crackers were employed to replicate the texture and taste of the original dish. This innovative twist allowed for a satisfying and nourishing alternative, bringing new flavors and variety to the table.